Yes, my name is David High, and I was a Deputy Attorney General for many years, and have a real love for the office, and I care very much about this election because I think it will define how effective the state government will be going forward. Today, over 50 longtime Republican leaders are announcing their support for Tom Arkoosh for Attorney General. They are listed in the press release, and they are also listed on this board here. They are a veritable who's who of Republican leaders in Idaho. They include such names as former First Lady Lori Otter, Senators Patti Anne Lodge and Fred Martin, plus 5 other distinguished Senate leaders, Denton Darrington, Pam Ahrens, Joe Stegner, and others, Representatives Fred Wood and Scott Syme, plus 10 other distinguished former state representatives, former statewide elected officials, including Governor Phil Batt, Secretary of State Ben Asursa, Superintendent of Public Instruction Jerry Evans, many highly regarded lawyers, Republican Party leaders, business leaders. The list goes on, and I would invite you to take a look at it. It is very impressive. And why are so many Republicans doing this? It's very unusual to have such a high number of very significant leaders of the party doing such a thing. And it's because this race matters to Idaho. It matters to the Idaho citizens. Several of our members are going to speak today and tell you why they are supporting Tom Arkoosh. I guess I would call first on Lori Otter.
Good afternoon, and thank you for being here today in the People's House. It's nice to be back in this building again. I'm here today supporting Tom Arkoosh because every once in a while you need to look at the race, and you need to look at the person, and you need to look at the qualifications of that person. And Tom Arkoosh has a great record of working with governors, working with legislators, working with city officials to move forward different agendas and policy. He was instrumental in a lot of water law that's happened in this state. And if you're a Magic Valley farm girl like I am, you understand that Idaho is, water is everything to Idaho. And having somebody in the Attorney General's office who has a firm grasp and a firm understanding of not only the importance of water, has worked in that arena in policy issues, but also is able to know the history of where this state has gone and has the work that has gone in to preserving Idaho's waters for its agriculture and ranching communities. To me, it's one of the largest and biggest factors that I highly encourage everyone to support Tom. Tom has a record in the occupation of the job that he is pursuing. He has been in law, he's been active in his communities, and I can't think of anybody that would be rather more suited for the position of Attorney General. And so if you're asking me why, as a Republican, would I support a Democrat, I would say you have to look at the job, and Attorney General is one of the few jobs that actually have a qualification, and you can go down and see exactly what that person has accomplished. And I would say that his opponent has not got that same track record at all. And so when it comes right down to it, at the end of the day, for my generation, for my grandkids and my family. I want somebody who's going to be able to support and understand the issues that truly ground Idaho and what Idaho is. And that's our community, our water, our INEL across the state with some of the issues that we have there, and is able to hit the ground running, doesn't need on-the-job training because he's been doing it for 20 years. So he's not running for a political office, he's running for a job as your Attorney General. And I would urge any Republican who has any questions about this race to do your homework and to look up Tom Arkoosh and to give him your support and your vote in November. Thank you.
I intended to mention that Lori was also CEO of Idaho Women in Leadership, and this year won the Idaho Business Leader of the Year Award. So she is doing amazing things. Anyway, sorry I didn't mention that before you spoke, but thank you. Our next speaker is Patti Anne Lodge, and Patti Anne Lodge exemplifies public service and outstanding public service. She has done this for her whole life. She has given her heart to the Idaho Senate, has distinguished herself both as the chair of the Judiciary and Rules Committee and lately of the State Affairs Committee. I know from working with her on one of her initiatives, the Criminal Justice Reinvestment Task Force, that she's very forward-thinking, very concerned about the future of Idaho, cares about the people, and I want to know why she supports Tom Arkoosh.
Thank you, David, for those kind words, and thank you, Lori, for the words that you gave, because you really took about everything I could possibly say from me. And I just want you to know that this is a new spot for me. I've never been in a position where I have looked at the candidates and chosen one from that's representing the other party. But I've worked with Tom in the Senate as chairman of Health and Welfare, chairman of Judiciary and Rules, and chairman of State Affairs. And I can tell you that he has been in my office many times and that he has given me a nonpartisan approach to the legislation that he's been speaking to me about. I asked Tom, who had been a partner with someone that I just have such high regard for, and that is Bill Roden. And Tom was a partner to Bill Roden. And Bill Roden used to come in and he'd say, he'd tell me what his issues were, and I would say, okay, what about the other side? And he would say, okay. And Tom did the very same thing. He would give me his side of the story, and then he would give me the issues on the other side. And so I had a full glass, and then I could make a decision because it was based on nonpartisan issues. It was not based on supporting one side or supporting the other. He gave me that opportunity to become educated, and I came to respect him so much for that. I supported Lawrence Wasden big time for this Attorney General's position because I think he did an excellent job, and I worked closely with him as co-chair of the Millennium Fund, where Lawrence and his staff brought in millions upon millions and millions of dollars into the state to help us fight addictions. I worked with Brian Kane and Lawrence on so many issues, asked for Attorney General's opinions, and the Attorney General's opinions that I got as a Republican and my friends from the other side of the aisle got and brought to me were the same types of opinions. They were nonpartisan, rule of law opinions. And that's what I'm looking for as the next Attorney General. Should not be a political position. It should be the one, because it has the qualifications that is nonpartisan. And I was talking to Senator Stegner just a few minutes ago, and we said, why didn't we work on that while we were in the Senate? Because it's so important that that person has the administrative experience to run the largest law firm in the state of Idaho, has the experience working with agencies and legislators, and has that legal expertise, especially in water law. It's so important for our state of Idaho. And you know what I found that was interesting is after the election, a large group of people from throughout the state went around and looked for someone that they thought that they could find that would bring that rule of law and that nonpartisan approach to our Attorney General's office, and they brought Tom on board. And I thank Tom for giving up his independence, which he came into my office as, his Republican credentials, and helped us out by running on the other ticket, which I will say, which I have, in my 66 years of working in Republican politics throughout the years, have never gone across and supported someone from the other party. But this time it's different. This time we've got to have someone who can work with legislators, all legislators from all the different factions, and work with the agencies and the people. And like Ms. Lori said, the cities and the counties. This litigation for the state of Idaho is so complicated today. You have to have someone who's been working on that throughout the years. His ability to bring groups together and mediation, one of the most important things that we have in our legal field today is mediation, getting these people together and talking. It's something that I tried to do as a senator. And doing that ability right there will prove to benefit the state of Idaho and all our citizens. And so after starting at 14 years of age, working for a Republican in my county, which was held by Democrats at that time, taking my 3 little kids, a baby on my back, a toddler in a wagon with campaign literature, a 6-year-old pulling the wagon, going through the streets of Caldwell for Phil Batt. I remember one time it started raining and I just bundled up the kids and said, hey, we still have 2 more blocks to go and we're going to get that done because this is important. Those are the types of things that I've done in the past and tried to hold as many offices and do as many things as I could to promote my Republican values. But this time, I'm looking for the qualifications and I'm looking for the experience, and I'm supporting Tom Arkoosh. And I hope that you will go and talk to people and say, all right, this is important. Look at the qualifications. Don't look at the R or D. Thank you so much, and please go out and help support Tom. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Senator Lodge. The next person to talk with you is...
Keep it brief, David.
Pardon?
Keep it brief.
Okay, brief, yes. Ben Isursa. I had the privilege of working with Ben for a number of years. He is such a great person, a finer person you will never know in your life. He was elected for 12 years as Idaho's Secretary of State and has insights as to the Attorney General's office functioning from that perspective, which I think is extremely important. Ben?
Thank you. Thank you, Dave, and everybody, and the certainly Lori Otter and Patti Anne Lodge. Thank you for your comments. I would kind of comment that we've seen the beauties and now we're going to see the beast. So it's not easy, and I said this before, I'm one of the co-chairmen statewide and when Tom launched his campaign. And so it's no secret that I'm supporting him from early on. And the reason is, as a lifelong Republican, you've got to look at the office and who's the better candidate. He is known as a competent and ethical attorney who believes in the rule of law. Make no mistake about it, the rule of law is under attack today. especially in an area that I'm very, very, very familiar with, and that's the elections. If the American people lose trust that our elections are free and fair, we will lose our democracy. I don't think there's any stronger statement you can say. And the AG's office is not a place for a purveyor of the big lie. Tom's opponent would not have voted to certify the election for President Biden. He has stated that, and he, in the debate, he very willy-nilly didn't really support the results that came out. So that's not the kind of person we want in the Attorney General's office, in my opinion, especially in my area of the elections, and to endorse the big lie concept. Another area right behind me is Lawrence Wasden's office. He's still Attorney General till the first Monday in January. And I think he set the bar on what you should be as an Attorney General. He was a neutral arbiter. He always liked to say he was an umpire and calls balls and strikes. You may not like what he called, but he called them the right way, and he applied the law to it. We cannot have, what we're looking for in that office is a good lawyer, not a good politician. So these are the reasons that I support Tom Arkoosh, and I would urge everybody else too. He's a person of unmatched character and integrity that will uphold the values of the office that I think were certainly set at a high standard by Lawrence Wasden. So with that, I'd like to say, let's get Tom Arkoosh elected Attorney General. Thank you.
Thank you, Ben. I worked as a division chief in the Attorney General's office for many years. I had the privilege of working with a number of attorneys general, one of whom was a Democrat. They all believed in the importance of playing it straight with the Idaho people, with the legislature, with the agencies. It is not okay to play politics with the Attorney General's office. It is not okay to try to influence the award of a contract, state contract, based on political considerations rather than based on the lowest responsible bidder. It is not okay to let politics influence licensing decisions or regulatory decisions or court filings. I was very distressed when Raul Labrador, during the primary election, made it very clear he wanted to make the office political. This is the worst possible thing that could happen to the office. We have a fine tradition of playing it straight with the people. It is so important to our future. That is why I'm here today. That's why I think this election is so important. I was delighted when Tom Arkoosh, an extraordinarily fine lawyer, stepped forward. He is a person of the highest integrity. He is pledged to play it straight. He is pledged to not make the office political. I am really delighted to be able to support him in any way I can. If elected, he will serve Idaho with honor and with distinction. And I hope that the Idahoans will understand this and vote for him. Thank you. And last but definitely not least, Tom Arkoosh.
Thank you, Mr. High, Ms. Otter, Senator, Ben, thank you. And I think Bev Montgomery and Joe Stegner are also here. I would like to thank them for coming. After those testimonials, I've decided to vote for Tom Arkoosh. I'm humbled that these long-time loyal Republicans would support a person running on the other party's ticket. I've been an independent voter my entire life. In my 4 decades of dealing with governmental agencies, I always thought the Attorney General's office was supposed to be non-political. That is the way I intend to run the office. I admired and voted for Lawrence Wasden because he placed the law over politics. And I think most of the members of Republicans for Tom Arkoosh have done the same. I'll be an Attorney General for Idahoans of every stripe. Democrats, Republicans, independents, non-affiliated. The law requires no less. I particularly admired Wasden's pursuit of damages against large corporations that did significant injuries to Idahoans. Lawrence has recovered hundreds of millions of dollars in his Consumer Protection Division against tobacco companies, vaping companies, opioid makers, and others for the injuries they inflicted on everyday Idahoans. He has received over $500 million from tobacco companies alone, and $750 million total over the last 20 years of his administration. My opponent said he would stop doing that. On that consumer protection, I am full steam ahead. I would like to say just one other thing. This is the makings of a conversation. Bringing us all together, Jim Jones acted as the focal point because he believes that conversation has to happen. When that conversation happens, we will move away from extremism. We will become Idahoans all together again, and the money we spend will be spent for the benefit of everybody in this state. So I want to thank my Republican friends for looking at me as a candidate and not as a party politician. Thank you very much, all of you, for being here today. Thank you so very much. You were exquisite. Thank you. You were wonderful.